All right, in this video, I want to teach beginners 5 things they can do to make their lawn look like a professional. So maybe you bought a new home, maybe you've never taken care of your lawn ever before, maybe you have and it's just not becoming green and weed-free like you want to. Let's go and I'm going to show you the 5 steps you can do as a beginner to make your lawn look like it was taken care of by a professional. Let's go. So the first thing you want to do and learn about is feeding your lawn. The lawn needs food, just like you need nutrition. The lawn needs nutrition, it needs water, but we're talking about food right now. And it's going to get its food from fertilizer. There's liquid fertilizer, there's granular fertilizer, but we're going to start out with granular because it's easy, it's simple. But you need to put this granular fertilizer in a spreader. So you've got to choose the right spreader. There's 2 types of spreader. There's a drop spreader, which you put the granular fertilizer in the spreader and it just drops it right beneath the wheels. And there's also what we call a broadcast spreader. Now with this spreader, you put the fertilizer, the granular, into the hopper, which is the basket, and then you go ahead and roll the spreader across the lawn, and it has this whirlybird in it that sprays the fertilizer all through the lawn. You're going to get much better distribution and much better coverage with a broadcast spreader than a drop spreader. So you want to go purchase, if you don't have one, a broadcast spreader. So here's an example of a broadcast spreader. This is more of a heavy-duty spreader. It's not full commercial, but it's still a commercial spreader. You don't have to have anything like this, but this is an example of what a broadcast spreader looks like. Some things I like about this is, first of all, nice big wheels. So big wheels roll over the lawn easier, so that's nice to have. That's something to look out for. This is the hopper. This is where you're gonna put your fertilizer on top here. Inside the hopper is a screen. And I'm gonna take out this screen, and what's cool about the screen is it screens all the big chunks that may be clumped up in a bag and cleans them up before it goes down to this section right here, which those are the holes. I'll open that up as the fertilizer drops down in. And as you can see, there's a little wire on top that slightly moves, barely moves. That's the agitator to push those granulars out down into the lawn. Once they go through the agitator and the holes, they go to this broadcast whirlybird. What this does is it spins and broadcasts, you can see it spinning here. It broadcasts that fertilizer and spreads it out throughout the lawn, anywhere between 2 to 4 feet on each side of the spreader. So this is a great example of a broadcast spreader. Here's the settings on the spreader, so you can choose how far to open up or close the hole. And remember, the directions are on the bag of how to set this, so it's real simple and easy. This one here is a 50-pound spreader, which is actually a lot of capacity for even a little spreader. You probably don't want to put that much in, but this is a broadcast spreader, which I recommend you use to put down your granular fertilizer. Next is the fertilizer. There's 2 types of fertilizer. There's granular fertilizer, which is these little balls, or we call them prills, and there's liquid fertilizer. But to make this easy, since we're beginners, we're going to start with granular fertilizer. So you're going to take that granular fertilizer, pour it into the basket or the hopper of your broadcast spreader, and you're going to roll it across the lawn. Now, the important thing with fertilizer is most fertilizer is only going to last 4 to 6 weeks. So the key to keeping your lawn green and lush and looking beautiful is to make sure you're doing this at least once a month. You can stretch some fertilizers based on the coating to 5 weeks to 6 weeks, but as a general rule, let's just go with once a month. So make sure you're putting this fertilizer on once a month throughout the growing season. Now here in Denver, that's generally March through October. If you live somewhere else, it could be different. It could be longer, it could be shorter based on if you're farther north or farther south. You're gonna go ahead and apply this granular fertilizer to your lawn, which it's really easy. You can just read on the back of the bag. It's going to tell you how much fertilizer to put down based on the size of your lawn. And I'll show you just in a minute how you can measure your own lawn on Google for free. So you don't have to guess about how much fertilizer to put down based on your lawn size, because first we're going to get your lawn size. And then you just read the directions on the back and boom, it's that simple. Measure your lawn, and let me show you how you can measure your lawn. Let's just go ahead and type your address into Google and pull up your house. And we're just going to pull up a random house here, and let's just assume that this is your house. So I'm going to measure this lawn right here with this brown rooftop. What you could do after you go into Google Maps is actually go to the edge of the yard, and I like to look at fence lines in the yard. So here's the fence line, and right click and choose measure distance. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my hypothetical front yard here and measure this part of the lawn. You can see it gives you a square footage here of 834. I always round up, so we'll just call it 835. Bring out your calculator and do 835 plus, and then let's see here, close this down. And there's a little section right here on the side of the house we're going to measure. So we're going to click this here. You don't have to be exact. I mean, you can just be close, and that's good enough. Here we have 255 square feet, so we'll add another 255. So that takes care of the front yard. Now let's go ahead and work on the back. So here's the backyard. I'll right click, click measure distance. Go ahead and click around here. Again, close is good enough. Let's go ahead. It looks like the lawn kind of goes around this here. So finish measuring this whole yard. Like I said, you'll be amazed at how accurate it is. We found that it's actually more accurate than us taking a measuring wheel out to the property. And this backyard here is 2,129 square feet. So let's add that, 2,129. So that gives us a total square footage of 3,219 square feet. That's a very simple and accurate way for you to measure your yard, so you know how much square feet of lawn you have. And the bag of fertilizer is going to tell you how much to put down based on how much square foot you have. So a real simple, real easy way to get your square footage. The key to success in life and in lawns is usually the small things. It's the details. You can't forget the details. You know, to do anything successfully, you don't have to do any one big thing. You have to do a lot of little things correctly. And one thing I want to talk about that people forget to do is edge their lawn when they're doing their mowing process. Edging is like icing on the cake. It just makes the lawn look beautiful. It's the little thing that ties your eyes into the lawn that just gives it this beautiful look. And when I'm talking about edging, you want this edge of the lawn to have a cake look to it, meaning that the side of the cake is this way and the top of the cake is perpendicular this way. It's a perfect 90-degree angle, and you want an edge like that along your driveway, sidewalks, or any cement areas, because those are the little details that are going to make your lawn pop and look beautiful for you and your friends and neighbors. So this is a tool that's made just for edging. It's a dedicated edger. You can see on the front here, it has a solid blade, and what the solid blade is going to do is cut a line between the concrete and the grass to make that straight 90-degree angle edge. And what you want is a dedicated edger that has a blade like this, so it can do that one task very well. You can buy a battery-powered one like this. You can get a gas-powered battery one, or you can get one that plugs into the wall fairly inexpensively. But you want a dedicated tool because it's the little things like this that's going to make your lawn pop for all your guests and for you. Consistency also holds true for our next tip, which is mowing. You want to mow often, meaning once a week, sometimes in the spring, believe it or not, twice a week, because you never want to take more than 1/3 of the blade of the grass off at any one time. Because if you do that, it stresses out the grass and makes it susceptible to other lawn care diseases. So you want to mow frequently, at the minimum once a week. In the spring, probably twice a week, because it's growing at its fastest rate. By the way, the lawn is growing at its fastest rate, number one, in the spring, but again in the fall. It's really kicking in the fall. Summer, it slows down, and you could maybe not have to mow as often, but spring and fall at least once a week. I prefer you do it throughout the season. And also when you mow, switch up the patterns. Mow different ways each week. One week, mow north and south. The other week, mow east and west. That way you won't build ruts in your lawn, and you'll have a nice, beautiful design every week. When you consistently go over the same area week after week, you start to build up these ruts, especially on the edge of your yard, and you don't want that to happen. You want to consistently move where your mower wheels are going to go each week. That way you won't build those ruts and get those uneven lumps in your lawn from mowing. Here's the next thing I want to talk about. Should you bag or should you mulch? This is a big debate for some people, but the key is for successful lawns, you want to mulch whenever possible, because mulching is going to put all those nutrients, that nitrogen from the leaf of the blade of grass, back into your lawn and recycle it and use it as a food source. So whenever you can, you want to recycle. The times that you do not want to recycle is when the lawn is super tall, because you can leave clumps on the lawn and it can kill the lawn. So if your lawn's super, super tall and you forgot to mow it for 2 weeks, you don't want to mulch because the mower can't handle it. Or if you have debris in your yard, leaves or other things that are messy, you might want to put the bag on and clean those things up, but you definitely don't have to do that every week. Your lawn's going to be better off in the long run if you mulch. The world is going to be better off in the long run if you mulch, because what we usually do is we take this grass and we put it into plastic bags and then we throw it in a landfill, where it's crazy, where we could just put it back into our lawn. Did you know that grass is the largest crop in America behind corn? It's amazing that there's so much turf out there in this world, that we should do our jobs properly and recycle this stuff whenever we can. It's not only good for the earth, but it's good for the grass. This last tip is one I love to talk about because people don't think it matters that much, but it's one of the most important things. It's actually 50% of the equation, and that's water. How to water properly and how to water consistently. Let me give you the short version of how to water correctly. So you should be watering 3 days a week if you do not have water restrictions. And on those 3 days a week, you want to water twice a day during those 3 days. So once in the morning when it's nice and cool, and once at night when it's nice and cool on those 3 days. Now, if you have spray heads that just spray continuously, I like to set those as a general rule for 15 minutes a zone. So that's 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at night. If you have the gear drive heads or the impulse heads that just move really slowly across the lawn, you actually have to run them longer because they're putting less water down in one area at that time. So I like to run those for 30 minutes a zone twice a day. So 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at night. So if you have spray heads, it's 15. If you have gear drive heads, it's 30. Do that 3 days a week, twice a day. And I don't know if I can say this, but I want to almost guarantee you that you will have a beautiful, thick, lush lawn by doing that. That is enough water. Now, obviously, if you have some areas of your lawn that are getting more sun, it may need more water. If it's in the shade in some areas, you can tweak it to use less water. But as a general rule, 3 days a week, twice a day, 15 and 30 will get the job done. So let's review 5 tips for beginners that will make your lawn green and beautiful. Number 1 is you need a spreader. You need to choose the right spreader, which is a broadcast spreader. Number 2, choose the right fertilizer, which is a granular fertilizer. Number 3, edging. When you're edging, you want to edge the cement areas with a tool that's made specifically for edging. Go buy one, whether you plug it in, runs on gas, or runs on batteries. You want a dedicated edger. 4, you want to do proper mowing. You want to mow your lawn every week and switch up the pattern each week you mow and mulch. And number 5, watering. You gotta water. It's 50% of the solution to having a green, beautiful lawn. And you gotta water properly and consistently. Okay, so I have one more tip for you, and this is a bonus tip, and this is for weed control. A lot of times when people are doing weed control, they go to the store and buy some granular fertilizer, like I suggested, with weed control in it. Don't do that. It's so hard to kill weeds with granular weed control because the weed needs to be wet. So the granular products stick to the weed and actually kill the leaf of the weed first. It's really hard to have success killing weeds with granular products in your lawn. So what you want to do is use a selective herbicide in your lawn. And a selective herbicide means that it's a weed killer that will actually kill the weeds in your lawn, but not kill the actual grass. And you can buy a hand can to do that. This is just a little pump hand can or a spray hand can, and walk around your lawn once a week or twice a week and just spot spray those weeds in your lawn. Again, the mixing directions are on the back of the product you buy. It's simple to mix. If you're a homeowner, you can probably mix up 1 or 2 gallons for the whole season and just do it once, leave it in your garage, and it'll always be ready for you to spray throughout the year, unless you have tons of weeds. But if you're doing what I'm teaching you to, you're not going to have tons of weeds. You just have to spot spray them throughout the month to keep them under control. And there'll just be a few of them if you keep your lawn healthy. I hope these tips were helpful for you. If you want to see a more detailed video on how to water properly, you can click over here. If you want to see another video on how to mow correctly, you can click over here. I'll give you a few minutes to decide which video you want to watch next. But as you're doing that, please remember to subscribe, click the thumbs up, and please remember, write this down. It's been statistically shown that green grass makes you smile.